This may contain spoilers. Hello and welcome to Entertainment of Excellence, a podcast we've just set up about our favourite TV shows and movies. Hi, I'm Ollie, or @Lovelove on Twitter.
And I'm Ben, or Rip David Bear on Twitter. And we're going to have to change our opening quite soon because not much longer will it be a new podcast.
No.
It's our third episode now.
Yeah, so I think you know the layout by now, the different segments we do.
However, we are going to mix it up a little bit and change the way that we review the target film.
Yeah.
So we're going to start off by giving our initial opinions and our overall feelings on the film as a whole. And then we'll go into more detail about the cast and characters and the director's soundtrack, especially if it's a Marvel film, any Easter eggs that are included. And then we'll go on to IMDb and go a bit more behind the scenes with trivia and goofs and stuff, which it can be quite interesting to look at, but we haven't been discussing. And then we'll read the reviews on IMDb before we give our own final opinion and rate it for the website. The last part of the episode will be the same as normal, where we take a look at some new movie trailers coming out soon. This week we're going to try and have a bit of a Marvel special, so we are still going to be watching trailers, but both of them are going to be upcoming Marvel movies, and we're going to leave recommendations aside for this week. Well, first of all, to give us time to watch more things to recommend for you, and second of all, to just keep the running time short. We don't want to bore you.
Yeah, I think we've got a lot to talk about this week. So I don't think we've said yet, but today's episode is about Black Panther. So we're recording this on the 23rd of Feb. We watched this a few days ago. I think 3 days after its release.
Yeah.
So before we talk about what we liked and stuff, should we just do a quick synopsis and talk about what the film's actually about?
Yeah. Well, it's set in the fictional African state of Wakanda, which on the face of it is a third world country like most African countries are stereotypically presented as. However, underneath the surface, quite literally, they have a thriving economy and a futuristic city with hover cars and more advanced technology than the US and the UK have combined in this universe.
And it's all because of a special metal they have called vibranium, which is extremely expensive and can be used for different things. For instance, as well as using it for weapons, they also use it for medical treatment. This film, unlike any Marvel films really, it explores themes such as poverty and giving aid.
And this country dates back thousands of years, but where a meteorite crashed into the country with vibranium on it, and there's like this flower that if you like drink the sap of, then you get superhuman strength.
And if anyone challenges you, then you've got to fight them, and if you win, then you're the king. If you can beat everyone, but if you don't, then they are given the Black Panther suit and become the king of Wakanda. The king of Wakanda's granted with these powers, and he's given the Black Panther suit. So basically they do a traditional ceremony to try and see who the new king is after T'Challa's father, T'Chaka, is killed in Civil War, terrorist attack I think. And so T'Challa, who's the next in line, there's a character who's the main villain called Eric Killmonger, and he is royal blood because basically what happened was T'Challa's father killed his father because he'd stolen some vibranium, and there was a spy who was working for T'Chaka and he tried to attack him, so the original Black Panther, he killed his father. So now he wants to be the king of Wakanda and he wants to use the vibranium for good, and he comes and he fights T'Challa and he wins. He throws him off the waterfall, so he's temporarily the king. However, the people of Wakanda, although they have to respect him for being the king, they're not totally satisfied, and they obviously prefer T'Challa. And a few of T'Challa's close friends, they go out and try and find him to see if he's still alive, and actually you find out that he is. The Jabari tribe are keeping him. And so, although they appeared bad at the start, they actually help out the story.
Yeah, so overall, I think this was a very good film. It was certainly a lot better than more recent Marvel films from 2017, as I've always felt all the Guardians of the Galaxy films were too cheesy. I seem to be the minority in that opinion, but
Yeah, I love Guardians, but
yeah. And Thor Ragnarok was a good attempt, but it certainly wasn't as good as the original or the Dark World. I think Doctor Strange was very good, but wasn't the best movie in the franchise.
yeah, I agree. I think this is definitely one of the strongest films in the MCU. We're up there with things such as The Winter Soldier and other top-end Marvel films. I think it is a big step forward in the MCU with the diverse cast and tackling themes that we've never really seen before in this franchise. And I think it manages to survive and succeed without relying too heavily on themes and characters we've seen before in the MCU. So
Exactly.
We'll probably talk about this in a bit, but things such as Ant-Man, it feels very forced when Falcon's there and he's in the Avengers headquarters just to show, oh look, this is in the MCU, this is the Avengers, hey, this is good. But this, it can thrive by itself. It's a very independent film and I really enjoyed it.
And to be honest, it's something you could watch on its own, because if you have watched the rest of the MCU, then yeah, sure,
It helps, but
you'll
it's not essential.
Yeah, you'll get the idea that his father was killed by a terrorist attack, but again, that was shown as a flashback in the beginning. So it's not really necessary for you to watch any other films.
And I think that is interesting because in this film you start to see that maybe T'Chaka isn't the person that T'Challa thought he was, and he's not, because he has got an evil side just like everyone, and he did kill, which T'Challa thinks he shouldn't have. So you don't necessarily have to have seen Civil War, because although Black Panther was in it a bit, you didn't really learn much about him. You just kind of saw his suit, and actually he has an upgrade in this with this suit. So yeah, I think this is a very strong Marvel film and can survive without having to rely on the rest of this universe.
The characters are very relatable. You can understand the situations they're in and sympathise with them a bit.
Yeah, I mean, we're white, so...
Yeah.
And in this film, I think there was only 2 main white characters, whilst the majority of the cast, they were from other backgrounds, which I think is one of the factors that will make this film very popular, and it has been really good from the first week or so. It has really done well.
It's still number 1 in popularity in IMDb.
Yeah, so. I'm not surprised. Because I think this is very... I mean, it's relatable for us, but for people from other ethical backgrounds, it'll be even more so.
And I think, especially if you've actually experienced the poverty and the discrimination that kind of drives Killmonger throughout the film, then you may feel a bit of sympathy towards him, and it may be harder for you to take sides. So we're just going to take a bit of a closer look at each of the characters.
Yeah, we'll look at the actor and then the character. So we start off with, as I've said before, T'Challa is the main character. He's the Black Panther, and he's played by Chadwick Boseman. What else has he been in?
I don't know. I haven't heard his name before.
No, neither have I, but I thought he was really good in this. Definitely the standout actor. Well, obviously Civil War, but he was in 42.
Marshall, The Glades Castle, The Kill Hole.
So no really famous film. So this was his first major movie appearance, and I think it's a good way to start his blockbuster career.
Yeah, and T'Challa was the prince of Wakanda. His father was the king, but then, as we've mentioned in Civil War, he got killed in a terrorist incident, and he is now taking over the place as king. And so we start off with him becoming king with the ceremonies, and he already has the Black Panther suit. I don't know whether the Black Panther immediately goes to the king or something, but...
Yeah, I think it's interesting seeing the contrast between T'Challa and Black Panther, because although Black Panther's a very powerful and dominant character, I don't think T'Challa, when he's out of the suit, he's not very demanding, and everyone seems to love him as a king, and that's why everyone's so annoyed when Killmonger becomes the monarch.
Yeah, he seems to be a good king. He's a good guy.
Shall we move on to Eric Killmonger, played by Michael B. Jordan? I think he's one of the strongest villains in the MCU, with people like Loki and Thanos.
The problem you can have with villains is you can be tempted to slip into the stereotype of revealing their evil plan and then getting completely wrecked. I'm not talking about Obadiah Stane here from Iron Man, but...
Yeah, I'd say that's one of the main criticisms people have of the MCU, actually, is the villains. Because people such as Ronan and Whiplash, they're not very developed well. They're not very relatable, whereas Killmonger is not all about... Obviously, he has a powerful suit, but it's not all about him being dangerous. It's kind of about his background and why he wants to take over as the king of Wakanda.
And you can kind of view the film in a couple of ways. One about, obviously, the main one being it's about T'Challa, but in a way it's also kind of having Killmonger as... if not the main character, a very, very significant one, because the film starts with his father being killed. We see clips of his plans unfolding throughout the first half of the movie. Yeah. And in the second half, we learn a lot more about him. He's probably the most developed villain in the MCU.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And because of a lot of his relatable situations, you're obviously going to have people who can sympathise with him.
Yeah, so should we just talk briefly about a few other characters before we move on to our next topic?
Yeah, there's Nakia, who's played by Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right.
We've also got Okoye, played by Danae Gowrie.
And unfortunately, we have Martin Freeman again. There's not that I'm against Martin Freeman. He's a great actor. He's British. He's been in a lot of films and TV series. I don't really like him in this. The main reason being his really bad American accent.
I know. I think that is one of the most annoying things of the film.
You can look at someone and say, like, I know your actual accent. Like, a lot of the Wakandans have this Wakandan accent, which obviously they don't speak like in real life.
Yeah, but it's a bit weird hearing Chadwick Boseman speak in his American accent.
I know, and
I think that accent is really strong because it sounds really rich.
And then there's just Martin Freeman. He's talking in a really bad American accent. I used to work for the CIA and...
I didn't think that was a great character as a whole. I don't think it was really necessary having him in, to be honest.
If you could cut the film down to, say, an hour, there'd be no scenes with him in. So.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there's Wakabi, played by Daniel Kaluuya, who seems to be T'Challa's friend at the beginning, but then goes against him.
Yeah.
About halfway through and sides with Killmonger. And then there's his little sister, Shuri, played by Letitia Wright. She's a good character.
I think, yeah, she's quite funny as well.
She's a funny character. She's very smart, very intelligent. She makes the weapons, and there's like a really good scene earlier on in the film when she's showcasing some of the Black Panther suit designs she's made, and she's designed this suit that absorbs kinetic energy from bullets and things and then can be used back against it, and that's very funny.
This film, I think, has got some resemblance of James Bond's parts of it, and she's the Q of this. She's the girl that creates the weapons and the suits, and I think she's definitely one of my favourite characters in this. I felt that was a really great performance from Wright.
I'd definitely like to see more of her, but the only thing I didn't like about her is she did do this really cringy... Ollie knows what's going on, right? She did this cringy line where she just goes, more to the point, "What are those?"
Yeah, I definitely think this is the most annoying line from the film, and if anything could be cut out, definitely this. It's an old, dead meme. We don't need it. What's going to happen in Infinity War? Is Thanos going to dab?
He is, yeah.
Is Ant-Man going to do a water bottle flip? This is just getting stupid. This meme's from 2 years ago.
No, I've got a better idea. I think Iron Man is gonna make a breakthrough. What's 9 plus 10? 21.
Yeah, there's various other Wakandans, but I think the last person we should talk about is Claw, played by Andy Serkis, who's the actor of Gollum.
I didn't know he was Andy Serkis.
Yeah, it's weird that match up again with Andy Serkis and Martin Freeman, because obviously they were in the Hobbit together.
Yeah, Andy Serkis is a great actor. He's been in loads of things.
Oh god, yeah. I thought he'd be a better character.
Yeah.
He wasn't in it much because he was killed off quite early. Obviously, you saw him in Age of Ultron lose the hand, so now he's got a vibranium kind of gun hand.
Yeah.
Which is quite cool, but his character, it's a bit crazy and
He's
not very well developed.
He's like an illegal dealer of vibranium in Age of Ultron. That's expanded on because he wants to help Killmonger give the vibranium away from the Wakandans.
Yeah.
And of course, he's like the only British guy in here, well, with a British accent.
Yeah.
But his character was pathetic. It was much better in Age of Ultron, and he wasn't a particularly good character then.
Yeah, I think this is one of the cases where you will need to have seen Age of Ultron to understand his character. I don't think in this, I thought he'd have a bigger role. I thought he'd be a bigger villain, whereas he just wasn't.
Yeah. Something else I'd say about Black Panther as a whole movies, not only was the story quite memorable, but the whole soundtrack was very good. I can't remember how it goes, but it was the most memorable, I'd say, since Iron Man.
Yeah, I mean, it's got a new twist. It's nothing you've seen in Marvel before. Guardians of the Galaxy tried to bring loads of different music from different genres in, but this, one of the standouts is Killmonger's theme.
Yeah.
That also is in an interesting scene where the camera, it flips around. I think that's a really good piece of cinematography, and the music fits really well with that, kind of emphasising that now that he's the king, Wakanda's in this state where it's kind of upside down and in a mess.
Yeah, it's certainly the first soundtrack I've considered buying since, I don't know when.
Probably the first time for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd say the music is one of the highlights of this film. So I think something else we should talk about is the themes. I mean, we've discussed a bit about the poverty and the giving aid and things that are very big topics in this. But I also think that one of the quite interesting parts of this film is the contrast between their new technology and the vibranium and everything, and obviously they're very rich, also contrasting with the ancient traditions they've got, such as the Black Panther ceremony. I think that's interesting how they're still very advanced, but they go back to their roots and they still perform these traditions that obviously they've had for thousands of years. I think that's quite an interesting thing to think about, and there's never really been anything like that in this universe before.
There's, as with most Marvel films, they'll be ridden with Easter eggs, and there'll be so many, far too many for us to count.
I mean, I went into this for entertainment, not to keep tally of all the Easter eggs. I mean, when it comes out on DVD, I'm obviously going to get it, so I don't know.
But then, as with every Marvel film for, ages, it has a cameo from the one and only Stan Lee, who originally created a lot of the comics.
With Jack Kirby, yeah.
With a lot of the original comics. And his cameo in here was quite comedic. It was... There's a whole section in South Korea when they are trying to catch Claw, and it's in this casino.
That's the bit that's kind of similar to James Bond.
Yeah, it's a very James Bond-esque scene there. But the Stan Lee cameo comes in where Martin Freeman's character has just finished talking to T'Challa and has some cards on a table and some money, and then Stan Lee just takes the money and goes, "You know what, I'm just going to take that over here.
Yeah.
You know, just take it over here."
If I'm not mistaken, I think I've heard somewhere in Guardians of the Galaxy 2 you actually found out that, I know you haven't seen this, but he's a Watcher, so he, in every Marvel film he appears in, he's not actually a normal character, he's the same character coming back, to try and watch over them. I think this is him again in this role, so that's quite interesting to think about.
But what are they going to do when he's dead?
Yeah, I mean, how old's he now?
He's 95, I believe. He's certainly getting on a lot, and, you know, he's still walking around, he's still very, very healthy.
Yeah, but I mean, obviously, I think they filmed his cameos in advance, so even if he dies soon, there'll be an Infinity War, and there'll probably be in future films after that as well.
Do you think they'll just CGI him back in like they did with Grand Moff Tarkin in...
I hope not, but
Star
that'll
Wars.
kind of ruin the whole novelty.
Yeah, I didn't like that CGI effect. It's really bad and unrealistic.
So another thing that Marvel have kind of popularised and is in many films now is the post and mid-credit scenes. And there was 2 in this, which they're trying to do more frequently recently. Well, the first one, it was T'Challa and the other Wakandans sitting in front of, I think, different leaders from the world.
Yeah.
There's Martin Freeman's character also in the audience, and they were saying that they wanted to expand their resources and help other countries. And then it finished on someone asking, well, how can you do that? You're a third world country with nothing. If anything, we should be helping you. And then you just see T'Challa looking at his sister, and you know then that, well, obviously the rest of the world doesn't know what they know about the vibranium and what they've got hidden underneath their gates.
And the second post-credits scene, that one was mid-credits. This one was after it had Bucky, or the Winter Soldier. They had him in a hut talking to, I think, Shuri, which obviously shows since, I think it was Civil War, he's obviously been defrozen because he was put into like a cryo-freeze something.
Yeah.
So he's obviously going to be in Infinity War.
Yeah, I think there's a bit in the Infinity War trailer which we're actually going to watch later, where it is set in Wakanda and you see Black Panther fighting with T'Challa and some other warriors, so...
Get your weapons, and get your defences, and get this man a shield.
They call him the White Wolf, which is quite interesting in that scene. And the White Wolf is actually another Marvel character from the comics originally. So it's not the Winter Soldier, but that's what they're calling him. So that'll be interesting to find out why. So the post-credit scenes I did enjoy as a whole, but I do feel that first one that was mid-credits could have been included in the actual film.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
You could have had that right at the end.
Yeah. But I didn't mind it. It was good. But it does annoy me when you go to a Marvel film and you see people leaving when the film ends. That's just winds me up. You feel like saying, have you never seen an MCU film before? There's always going to be a scene.
Yeah. A couple of goofs. We're just looking at IMDb now. Oh, wow. M'Baku says that his tribe are vegetarians, and that's a funny scene because he says he was going to, like, eat Martin Freeman or something. I was like, just joking, we're vegetarians. But then it says here, it says his tribe of vegetarians, that Black Panther's body was discovered by one of his tribe's fishermen.
Yeah.
It's interesting. You could be pescatarian, but not. And then there's a plot hole that says the movie seems to imply that the Wakandans had exclusive access to vibranium only until Claw stole some of the supply. However, it does mention in some previous films, like Captain America, and I think in the Agent Carter TV series, where Howard Stark had a small sample of vibranium decades before, which is what made Captain America's shield. So there's no explanation as to how he got his samples. That's a bit interesting.
Yeah. As we've said at the start, because it's going to be quite a long episode, we're only going to read one IMDb review this week. And actually, although it's a 7.9 on IMDb, which is very high, seeing as it's just come out, as you go into the user reviews, you have to scroll down quite a bit to find a review over 7, which is quite strange, seeing as it is high on the actual list. I mean, there's 6, 4, 4, 6, 6, 5, 6. There's no 10 out of 10s, there's a 1. We'll try and find a bad review, because we've done a good review.
Yeah.
So we'll try and give you both angles.
There's a 2 out of 10 review here called Marvel's Last Jedi, RIP standalone superhero movies.
Well, I mean, I didn't hate The Last Jedi. I thought it was good.
If I was to put this post in a 1 or 2 word review, it would either be agenda or uncanny valley. Everything I feared this film would do, it did. Indeed, a couple of places it even referred to the spoilers, the slave trade. Seriously, in the 21st century, you're going to refer at least twice in the film to the slave trade, which, by the way, if you follow the film's premise, would not have affected Wakanda as they were cut off from the rest of the world. I can't remember it talk about the slave trade.
Neither can I, but even if it did, these themes I think are very prominent and should be discussed because that's what this Marvel film's about.
The main character of the film is T'Challa, a character so depressingly dour and serious he could be a candidate for depression.
Oh, come on.
Come on, he says he never freezes, and then he freezes, and then later in the movie he's frozen in ice. Like, you have his younger sister who's clearly being geared up as effectively Riri from the comics. She'll be the replacement for Tony Stark. To best describe her, she's a light-hearted Q from the James Bond movies. I liked her. She was fun, lively, bright, and the character's real find. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
She was very much like a Q.
Andy Serkis was excellent, but far too underused. Michael B. Jordan's big bad, I understand the anger. I don't get his ultimate goal. Makes no sense. The female bodyguards were the nearest thing to Mary Sue's in the movie. Really, beating up men twice their size with the same military background. I must discuss the CGI. This is a massive problem. Sure, Wakanda looks spectacular, but so did Asgard. Oh, I much prefer Wakanda to Asgard.
Yeah.
I think it looks better. It's the motion of the main characters that is the problem. It seems that whilst they can get stationary objects, buildings, etc., virtually spot on now, the same could not be said for dynamic ones. If you have watched any of the trailers, you'll know what I mean. When you see Black Panther do his somersault, the dynamic CGI characters look crystal clear whilst the real-life objects have a faint blur to them. You can just see where the live action starts and the CGI ends. If the cars were CGI as well, you wouldn't notice the difference so much. But it is here, and because it seems 90% of the film is CGI, in the end it becomes very annoying. I do think a criticism I have is the fight at the end with Black Panther and Killmonger. I think this was heavily CGI, and as it was all built up to this, it was a bit anticlimactic. I know it was interesting them fighting there, but it just kind of looked a bit too fake. But overall, I wouldn't agree with that review, would you?
No, I wouldn't agree with that review. I think that's very harsh on it.
So, should we give our rating for the website?
Well, taking all things into account, the spectacular soundtrack, the questionable special effects, but I didn't think they were as bad as the review had said, the relatable characters, I thought this was a good movie. The only criticism I had is its storyline was quite predictable. I think it was somewhere like The Lion King meets Thor, because the story about having someone who's ready to be king and then the dad dies and then they get banished and then, well, various things happen. It was executed very well, but the storyline was quite predictable, and that along with what are those?
Oh yeah.
Quite brought the film down for me. I'd still rate it quite high. I'd say a 7.5.
Okay, I'd probably give it slightly higher because I think this was a very revolutionary Marvel film, and it was a big step forward for the MCU, tackling themes that we haven't really seen before, with a diverse cast and music that's very unique. I would probably rate it an 8.5, same as last week's Blade Runner. I think this was definitely one of the strongest Marvel films so far, and I really enjoyed it. So that's an average of an 8 for the website. So it's not the top, but it's kind of in the middle.
So here's one we prepared earlier. When the film first came out, there was a BBC article reviewing it, and I had a link to a Black Panther quiz, Which Character Are You? So we should both do this and see how we do.
As we've said, it's quite long this episode. We're not going to do a knowledge quiz. We're just going to do a personality quiz that we've done every week. So let's find out which character we are. Do you want to go first?
How would your best friend describe you? Loyal, organised, smart, honest, confident. I don't know. How would you describe me?
Probably loyal.
Groovy. In a group you are the leader, the witty one, the caring one, the protective one, or the outsider. Well, I can be an outsider in some, but like generally I'm like, I don't know, this is harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah.
Either the witty one or the leader. I'd probably be witty because I'm not like a natural leader. Pick a career: general, spy, inventor, president, or activist. Me for president, Ben for president. On a Friday night, you'd be in the gym, out with friends, learning something on your computer, working, or planning your next adventure. I don't know, I'd probably be learning something on my computer.
Yeah.
I'd describe myself as dependable or self-reliant, selfless, funny, responsible. I'm self-reliant. What do you think's more important? Friends, family, building a legacy.
It's quite deep.
Building a legacy, probably.
Oh, the last one.
That's how your friends and family remember you if you die tomorrow. You believe in embracing technology in the future, respecting tradition in the past, a bit of both. A bit of both. Oh, I got Killmonger. Because the word to describe Killmonger, it would be misunderstood. You're extremely passionate about your beliefs and have a clear vision about what the world should be like, which can sometimes be intimidating for others. Groovy.
Yeah. So, how do you feel about that result?
I'm quite good. I quite like Killmonger as a character.
Yeah, I'd say he's one of the highlights of this film. Your best friends would describe you as... What would you say? It's the same question.
Either smart or loyal. I don't know, probably loyal.
Should I do smart because you went with loyal?
Yeah, go for
so.
smart because that's different.
In a group you are... I'll probably go for... the caring one. Pick a career. Probably out of these, an inventor. On a Friday night you'd be in the gym. Not like doing a workout, but playing basketball. I'd describe myself as dependable. I think building a legacy is probably the most important, like Ben. And I'd probably say embracing technology in the future. What I believe in out of those two. And I got Cherie, his sister. So, smart, sassy and self-confident, you're like the princess of Wakanda, Cherie. You are known for your creativity, innovation and sense of humour. Yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, you're pretty sassy.
So I think, yeah. I mean, neither of us got the Black Panther himself, but weren't far off. So, what we're going to do last is watch a couple of trailers. We'll start off with an MCU film and probably the most hyped one of the year, which is Infinity War. So, let's watch it.
There was an idea to bring together a group of remarkable people.
To see if we could become something more.
So when they needed us, we could fight the battles
that they never could.
In time, you will know what it's like to lose. To feel so desperately that you're right, yet to fail all the same. Dread it. Run from it. Destiny still arrives.
Evacuate the city. Engage all defenses. And get this man a shield.
Fun isn't something one considers when balancing the universe. But this does put a smile on my face. Who the hell are you guys?
We've just watched the original Infinity War trailer rather than the Super Bowl one, and it looks amazing, to be honest. I mean, we could do a full trailer breakdown, but we just haven't got the time. But we'll talk about a few standout scenes. I mean, you do see Wakanda, and there's a lot of Black Panther stuff in, which is really good to see. It looks like it'll extend a lot from the film we've just reviewed. Also some changes. You pointed out you didn't even recognise Captain America, did you? And he does look different with his beard. Also, we've got Black Widow with blonde hair.
Yeah.
We've got Vision is a human, which is strange.
Yeah, he's got hair and he's like caressing Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, you see Thanos break the stone out of his head in another scene.
You also see the Hulkbuster armor again for Iron Man for the first time since Age of Ultron.
Yeah, but people are actually saying that might not be Iron Man in there. And people are also saying that the Iron Man suit that you see Thanos easily destroy, that there's a theory that could be Pepper Potts, which I think is quite interesting. Yeah, so we've got a lot of reoccurring characters in this.
There were some sources that were saying there could be up to as many as 70 characters in Infinity War from previous films, and I think that'll be very interesting.
Yeah, that is a lot, but if they get it to work, that could be done really well, but there is a lot of room for error. It could backfire.
I think, the whole MCU's been building up to this. This is the make or break point. This is either the peak of the MCU
Or the end,
or
potentially.
pretty much the end, because if this is a commercial failure, then I doubt anyone would want to watch any further movies, because there are a lot of theories saying that a lot of the main characters could die as their contracts are expiring, for example, Captain America. And I think the MCU would be taking a different direction, focusing more on characters like Spider-Man, the Ant-Man and the Wasp, and with the possible amalgamation with Fox Entertainment, it would be taking a completely different direction. And if people don't like this film, it'll be unlikely that they'll embrace Marvel's future plans.
I mean, Thanos first appeared in the first Guardians of the Galaxy, which I think came out in 2013. So this has pretty much been 5 years of build-up with just this one villain.
I'm kind of feeling a little bit bad for the pressure that it's putting on Marvel.
Yeah, but they did create it themselves, I suppose, so they got themselves to blame. So now let's move on to, well, it's not technically in the MCU, but it's originally the Marvel comics, and it's the new Venom teaser trailer, which is only short, so let's go.
Everyone's got their thing. Maybe it's a breakup, a death, an accident. Whatever it is, you used to be one thing. Now, you're something else. We all have our own problems. Our own issues. Our own demons.
So we've just seen the trailer for Venom, or the teaser. I don't think it looks very good, to be honest. Obviously, if you did know about Marvel and you have read the comics, or maybe even seen the original trilogy of Spider-Man from the 2000s, you'd know who Venom was and probably get most of the references in this trailer. But if you didn't,
It just looks like, if from an outsider, you might as well think it's someone recovering from an accident or they've got a disease
Exactly.
or something. There's not much about superheroes in this. You see the Venom goo in the containment and you see him going mad in his bed and you actually see the black veins going up, but that's easy to miss. And if you didn't know about Venom, then you might as well just think this is another person recovering from an accident or an illness.
Exactly. And I mean, I'll probably end up seeing it anyway.
Yeah.
Because I did enjoy certainly the first two Spider-Mans.
Yeah.
Not so keen on the third, which was the one that had Venom in it.
Yeah.
But I don't know whether they'll be able to beat that. I certainly thought Andrew Garfield was terrible as Spider-Man. I'm warming to the new Spider-Man. I'm unsure how I'd feel about someone else taking over Venom.
Yeah, because now Spider-Man's in the MCU. It does make it a bit different.
And I think, because Venom's like a villain, it'd be interesting to have a film all about the villain, but again, it might just not work.
Yeah. So from the scene, there's not really any standout moments. You see him riding a motorbike and two cars flip behind him.
And you see him falling into water, but then, that happens in pretty much every film.
I know. So
There's nothing new there.
not the best trailer. Certainly, it's awful compared to Infinity War trailer, and I think Infinity War definitely has the potential to be a much better film than this.
Yeah.
However, it could be good. We don't know. It's only a teaser. So when the official trailer's released and eventually the film,
But
we might have different opinions.
But the problem with a teaser is it's meant to get you excited, before the actual trailer,
Yeah.
let alone before the film, and I'm just not excited at all about this.
No. Disappointing.
I kind of feel like it's the sort of film I'll sort of have to see because it's Marvel. There's nothing forcing me to watch, but because it's Marvel, I want to see it.
Yeah.
It's just...
Well, the only reason why I'm excited about the actual trailer coming out is to see if it's any better than this rubbish.
So we've had a special episode today. We've focused mainly on Marvel things, and we're sorry we didn't get time to recommend anything to you. I'm sure you'll have enough trying to catch up with our other recommendations from other weeks.
And what we discussed past two.
Yeah, I think what we can do now is we have a little bit more time to watch some more things and recommend some more things.
Yeah, I've got a few ideas, but it's just we had so much to say about Black Panther, and with our new format, definitely increased the length.
I think we'll keep the new format, obviously with recommendations, and I've signed up for emails from HMV and IMDb, which will give us more insight on film news. But we'll go into Easter eggs, we'll go into goofs, trivia, focus a little bit on IMDb things for future episodes. And there's just one last bit of news we'd like to say. In the beginning of April is my birthday, yay, which hopefully means I'll end up obtaining a couple more microphones, which means the sound quality will dramatically improve.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Whilst they may not be the best, it's certainly a lot better than, the dynamic range between looking at a computer screen and going right up to the microphone and...
Yeah. I know this was a different episode, but I'd probably say this has been my favourite so far. I know every episode's been different so far because we had a guest last episode and the first one was our first ever try at a podcast, but I'd definitely say this is probably the strongest so far, and I hope you enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you very much for listening, and don't forget you can check out our Twitter, which is @EofEPodcast, and our website, which is entertainmentofexcellence.wordpress.com. Thanks for listening.
Oh, see ya.
Alright, see you.